Inferno Dragon spam is the new easiest way to 3-star at Town Hall 13. Of course, this is not a new attack strategy. This was viable 2 years ago and is still incredibly strong thanks to the new healing tome of the Grand Warden. So we'll break down how this army works versus both multi and single target Infernos, alongside how to read bases for this army, and of course, mistakes that you need to be aware of. To start though, we need to go over the army comp and hero equipment to ensure you have the foundation for a stronger attack. A good rule of thumb is to use a siege machine depending on how close or far that town hall is. So if you are going in away from the town hall, oftentimes the blimp is better. However, if you are going into the town hall or going towards it, then using the battle drill, if you have access to it from either your clanmates or from raid medals, it will allow you to get a lot of value from the additional stun that it will hit on any defense, regardless if it's targeting air or targeting ground. And of course, it's just stronger than the Stone Slammer. Of course, if the town hall is within the center, I would personally just use the blimp to secure the town hall takedown. Unless you're a little bit more confident, then you could either use the Stone Slammer or the battle drill. Of course, you want to make your heroes strong, so let's give you some recommendations for hero equipment. For the king, I'd recommend the Rage Vial and Giant Gauntlet. This is a very strong synergy with the damage boost of the Rage Vial and the splash of the Giant Gauntlet. Of course, you also have the Rage Vial and Vamp Stash if you do not have the King's Epic. For the Queen, I'd recommend running the Healer Puppets and Invisibility Vial. You can't go wrong with it. The Queen's only being used behind the King, so this gives her some nice support even when she gets lower in HP. Of course, you can still use her default equipment if you are still saving for her epic. And for the Grand Warden, the Healing Tome and Eternal Tome is his best comp for hero equipment. It is really nice because Inferno Dragons will definitely take advantage of the Eternal Tome, really any troop will, but the healing will allow your Inferno Dragons or even Dragon Riders in the base to stay alive and give them a lot of power as they move through the base than ever before. So with everything given, the army comp is rather simple. This gives you enough troops to set the funnel and enough Inferno Dragons to melt the base down. I'd recommend having Dragon Riders in there in order to make sure that your Inferno Dragons are melting through the base. Of course, having some spells is really nice to distract defenses, or freeze them for a longer period of time, thanks to both skeleton spells and free spells. Choosing where you want to enter is often a tough choice, but let's simplify it. As stated before, look for the town hall and see which siege you're going to use. This could direct your attack, so be prepared to change it with a different siege machine at the ready. Focus on trying to get rid of the Eagle Artillery early, due to it being a strong defense. However, as long as you can move into it with your Inferno Dragons and remove it as quickly, so let's say it's within the core of the base, this army can really flourish as long as you remove it. You'll also want to try and look at the base at the expos and see if they're set to air and ground, alongside scatter shots, so you can easily distract them with skeleton spells or freeze them. The only other obstacle, of course, is going to be both Inferno Towers and air defenses. Air defenses are very easy to deal with, but you need to be aware of where they are, and with Inferno Towers, they're going to depend on the mode. Single target Infernos tend to be a little bit easier, but multis have tended to be a counter to Inferno Dragons. But now with the Healing Tome, they're better than before against them. So now that you know how to plan, let's give you some steps to 3-star with this army. First things first, you want to start with funneling. I would recommend starting with a baby dragon and maybe even using a cocoa balloon to look for any SAMs or seeking air mines that will one-shot your baby dragon. On the other side, you are using your Barbarian King and Archer Queen, using a super wall breaker or even regular wall breakers in order to open up the base, possibly to get even deeper in the base and getting a lot more value in terms of creating a funnel. You want to be able to set 2 sides of the funnel in order for your Inferno Dragon spam to go in between them. From here, you can spam in your Inferno Dragons in between your funnel, having the balloons, Dragon Riders, the Warden, and the blimp to support is very important. If you bring in a rage, use an early rage followed by an early Grand Warden ability. You want to protect the blimp alongside everything else and possibly have healing thanks to the healing tome. As your blimp gets deeper into the base, this is where I would recommend using a rage spell to secure the Town Hall takedown, which makes it much easier. Now, you will still have other defenses up, such as scatters or Inferno towers. I'd recommend using free spells over air defenses and Infernos if you can, alongside other defenses if you have them still available. As for the skeleton spells, use them throughout the base sparingly to distract different defenses, specifically ones that are mainly single target. This could include single Infernos, maybe archer towers, maybe scatter shots as well, or really anything that hits air and ground. Just make sure that you're not using it around a multi-Inferno. Now, with your back-end Royal Champion, you want to make sure that she is clearing out the back side of the base. So I would honestly recommend just having her to kind of clear things like the Infernos or any key defenses and kind of start swiftly moving in with your Inferno dragons. It's really nice to have her, and having skeleton spells as well to distract for her can be a very, very nice thing. This is why you really want to pair those skeleton spells, especially towards the back end, so your Royal Champion can help you and your Inferno dragons get a 3-star. Now, of course, if you're complaining about getting a 1 or 2-star with this army, you did something wrong. So let's go over some of the mistakes that you might be making. First, try not to spam all your spells in. I know I've said this before, but you are very limited on the amount of freeze and skeleton spells that you are using. And if you are wasting them all super early, this could cost you a lot. So you just want to make sure that you are placing them in sparingly. So as you're going into a new area, maybe deploy it a little bit ahead of time so your skeleton spells can start spawning. Of course, make sure that you're using them in the right area so they're not just getting bursted down by something like a multi-Inferno. So you just want to make sure that you are getting the most out of your spells as your Inferno dragons work through. Another mistake that you might make is if you miss the Town Hall with the blimp or anything else, be very, very calm. You want to make sure that even if you miss the Eternal Tome on the blimp, and the blimp doesn't get the Town Hall down, you need to find a way to be able to get that back. So this could be using your Royal Champion on the back end, or you can use freeze and skeleton spells to distract defenses around it so Inferno dragons could come in and clear the Town Hall. You have a lot of different options, but you just do not want to panic, or else you can make that attack worse and going from a potential 2-star to a potential 1-star. Now, those are just some of the mistakes that you'll make, but this is a very consistent 3-star more often than not.